Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Wire to Wire Coffee and Sports the Morning Show. It's been a great weekend of sports, man. I'm just a lot of upsets and shocks in college football, a lot of uncharacteristic things happening in the NFL, man. But it was a great weekend for everybody to well, it's been a few games for playing Niners playing for the one seed. You had the Ravens and the Steelers fighting for the last spot to be the AFC North Kings, man. But I'm here with two of my favorite guys, man, to talk sports with, man. You know, they part of the Meaty Boys and the And One podcast, man. Fellas, how we doing this morning? We got Mo and how was your weekend, big dog?
Was good. Had a great weekend. There's very few times when you watch college football, you could say over the last 20 plus years that you see Alabama get dog walked in a college football game. But that's exactly what Indiana did. They dog walked them.
Gardy, what's up, man? How you doing, man? How was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was great. I'd say yesterday was fantastic. Some great shows yesterday, and I'm excited to be on today.
So since Mo wanted to bring it up, man, college football is starting to unfold, man. We're winding down to the last few games of the actual college football playoffs. So we had Miami who pulled off one of the biggest upsets in college football history, beating the Ohio State 24-14. Then you had the Tide who got a dog walk by Indiana 38-9. Chambliss and Ole Miss take care of business, beating Georgia Bulldogs 39-34. But that game was very tight, man. Mo, let me ask you, man, was it Kirby's fault that the dogs lost?
I thought he made some questionable play calls. And he's a terrific coach. Like they said, when you're a guy that's got a couple of national championships under your belt, um, the alumni and company, they'll be mad for like a minute and get over it. But as great a coach as Kirby Smart is, I thought he made a couple of decisions that he lived to regret.
Hmm. Gardner, what you think, man? Kirby's fault this game or them losing this game?
So I'd say no. When you lose a game like this, it's normally a team effort. So he definitely shares some of the blame, though. Unfortunately, you can't always be perfect. So made some unfortunate calls right at the end. It didn't work out in its favor. So they'll be back next year, but it's quite the game.
So we also had Oregon who puts up a shutout against Texas Tech 23-0. But Mo, first up on the next docket, we got Oregon versus Indiana, man. Who you got winning this game?
Um, I'm going with Indiana's defense. A lot of people talk about the power of the SEC, the SEC, but Indiana defense, the way they play, the way they attack, the speed, they play like an SEC team. In this particular college playoffs, I think Indiana's offense will do just enough. Their defense will carry the rest. I'm going to go with Indiana.
Gardy, who you going with?
I think I'll go with Indiana as well.
Yeah, I think Indiana gonna take that one as well. But next up on the docket, we have Ole Miss versus the U, aka Miami. Gardy, who you going with?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Ole Miss.
You going Ole Miss?
Oh yeah,
Going with Trinidad Chambliss?
absolutely.
Mo, who you going with?
I'm going with Ole Miss too. I think that look, Chambliss is a really entertaining, exciting player and a playmaker as a QB. But I think the team as a whole is motivated because of everything that went on with their former coach Lane Kiffin. So, as much as I respect the U and the great upset they pulled off last week, I'm going with Ole Miss.
Going with Ole Miss. So that leaves us with the prediction of y'all saying that it's gonna be Indiana versus Ole Miss in the Big Boy Bowl. Mo, who's winning the Big Boy Bowl?
You know what the crazy part is? Because I wouldn't know this. I can't look in the history books, but I have to think that when's the last time Indiana's played for a national championship? Like, yo, if ever. So, I mean, this is
basketball. They play for something, but I don't think never.
Yeah, years ago. Now they get stomped, but sure. No, I think football wise, this is huge for Indiana and this opportunity. Like, you don't know how many times he's going to come around. I just think this is one of those things. It's a great run. It's a great moment. I'm going to go to Indiana.
Going Indiana. Gardy, who you going with?
I'll say, you know what? I'll pick Ole Miss to take it home this year.
Ole Miss and Moga. Yeah, y'all heard it here. Moving on, I want to talk about a few things in basketball before we head into the NFL playoffs. It's winding down. Gardy, I'm starting with you, man. The news that's tumbling down. Trae Young is leaving Atlanta. Where is he? Where you think he's gonna go and where he can fit? Because I'm sure he want to go to a contender. What's your thoughts?
He's gonna want to go to a contender, but I'm not sure exactly which contender's giving up the assets to really get him. That's kind of the question. Ironically, there's the first rumor was that actually Washington was looking to make a deal for him, which is an intriguing one. So I could very well see him going to a team like Washington where he can still play freely and play with some really young talent, and that could be intriguing. But I don't see him really going to any serious contender because you're going to have to give up $45 million in salary to acquire him, and then you have the issue of he can't play off the ball. His defense isn't, it isn't there. You would need a certain defensive structure to really keep up with him. So I truly think that, and if he does get traded, it will be to a team like Washington, and then next contract, if he wants to, then he goes to a contender.
I don't know if he's gonna go to Washington, man. I think he want to play for a title. That's why he want to leave, in Atlanta. So I don't think he's gonna go to Washington because they're not winning nothing. They're not even gonna be close to it. But don't you think the trade would probably be a bit less taxing on the other teams? The simple fact that him and his agent publicly are, announced that they're seeking for a trade. So which means other teams should have leverage to get Trae Young now, right?
I mean, still making $45 million. That's still a lot of salary to match.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think Brett's right that he's probably going to end up going to a bad team, a non-contender. But are there contenders where he could potentially fit, and his shortcomings are offset by his strengths? Sure. The first team that comes to mind is Minnesota. Minnesota's desperate for another shot creator and a playmaker. He fits the bill on every level for what they need. And you could talk about his shortcomings on defense, but two of the top 5 players in basketball don't play defense. You know what I mean? Like we can cherry pick who we want to cherry pick who don't play defense, but Joker, they go, well, he's not a good defender. It's easy being a great center in an era where there are no great centers. So let's keep it a buck. Like who does he have to deal with defensively on a nightly basis? Right? It's very rare that he goes up against a center who has the ability to drop 25 a night or whatever, make him work. So he hasn't improved as a defender. The quality of guys he guard has gone down. Look, Mike Conley hasn't played defense well the last couple of years because he's gotten older. He's past his prime. Can you hide a Trae Young? Sure, you can hide a Trae Young the same way you hide Steph or try to hide Luka or anybody else that's a subpar defender. I don't know what assets Minnesota would have to give up, but if you don't want Anthony Edwards eventually clamoring for a trade himself, you're going to have to go out and get him somebody else that can take some pressure off of him. I'm not saying it has to be Trae Young. I think Minnesota would be fine if they could pull off a deal and get somebody like Jordan Poole or Malik Monk, but you have to get someone else out there that can create when the plays that they call don't work, somebody that can make something out of nothing. And there are not a lot of guys available that can do that.
You know what the problem is with Minnesota? It's too cold out there. The snow blocks your door, your entire door, man. You got to dig yourself out from inside of your house. Nobody wants to go there with that, man. That's the problem.
No,
But
I'm not. Look, I'm not saying he wants to go there, but like, here's the thing: it's not a secret. Like him and his agent are like, "Yo, we want to trade," but they said, "Yo, we want to trade." After Atlanta said, "Yo, we're probably going to trade you." You know what I mean? Like that's one of those. I'm not fired because I quit. Like you know what I mean? Like they were already.
You can already see Trae Young quit on the court, man. He don't look like he got no life to play ball.
Well, look, Atlanta probably feels the same way. They're like, "Yo, we were playing well, and then you came back, and all we do is lose." Like, yo, we was trying to move you anyway. I think Trae Young can help a team win. At the same time, he can't be your best player. The way the NBA is played, he would be an exception to a rule in this NBA where a little guy could be your best player and you can win a title. There's one guy that can do that.
Could you pair Trae Young with Giannis?
You could. It won't work, but you could do it. It won't work.
Why you don't think it would work, man?
If he can't work with Dame, who's less ball dominant than Trae Young, there's no way Trae Young's gonna work. I think they'll have problems that Giannis and Dame had, but they'll have them times 10. I think Giannis absolutely wants another shot creator on the roster that can take some pressure off of him. I don't think Trae Young is the answer.
I don't know if a shot creator. I think Giannis looks like that 2010 Dwight Howard, Hedo Turkoglu, Jameer Nelson type of vibe. Like everything goes in the middle, but it's like a 4 out 1 in type of play style for him.
It's always, but it's been that way most of the time. I don't disagree. Look, Giannis is listed as a power forward. I've always considered him a center. Even when Brook Lopez was there, I've always considered him a center. And really, if you watch the way they played, he played like a center, and Brook Lopez played like a 7'2" guard. He didn't post; he just shot threes. I think
that's crazy because Brook wasn't usually like that. He didn't play like that when he was with the Nets. He was a mid-range inside post scorer, and then now he's a spot-up shooter.
And look, I give Brook all the credit in the world. He realized where the NBA was going. He changed his game and became a star role player. A lot of guys can't do that. But yeah, I think Giannis has always been, to me, a 5 hidden in a 4's body. He's at his best when he has shooters around him offensively, and he's got guys that get after it on the perimeter defensively. But ever since they started their mini rebuild, where they moved on from Drew, where they moved on from Middleton, they've been kind of a middle of the road team. They certainly could benefit from adding some young legs, young talented legs. I just don't know if I don't believe that Trae Young would make Milwaukee a title contender. I think that he would just he'd put them in salary cap hell. That's what he would do. They would. No, I'm just being honest. I don't think the payback from what he gives you would offset his shortcomings in Milwaukee. He has to go to a specific team that can benefit from his strengths and hide his weaknesses.
Gardy, what you think, man?
I think the first time we see Trae Young and Bobby Portis share a court together and try to play defense, crime in Milwaukee's going to spike. Like, at that point, like, it's going to be bad. It's not good. I don't think that Milwaukee's really the right place because, once again, if we could just take Trae Young and put him on our team and not give up anything, we could probably make it work. But unfortunately, we'd have to give up some key pieces to get him. And I think when we talk about our guard rotation, we already have Ryan Rollins being the most improved player in basketball this year. He's been terrific. And we already have a guy. We have to hide who plays big minutes for us and Bobby Portis. I don't think our defense could survive trying to hide Trae Young and Bobby Portis. You can hide one bad defender. Trying to hide 2 is just an absolute disaster. So,
I mean, but you play in the East though, so all you gotta do is outscore the other team, right? Right, Gardy?
I mean, if your goal is to get knocked out in the second round, maybe. Like I'm sure we can win a first round matchup like that, but I'm not going anywhere.
Oh man. Well,
Just for the record, chat, this is not Trey Young slander. He's a talented guy. I'm not telling nobody he's not talented, but I think that he has a unique skill set. And just go, if you go through the contenders, Carmike, go through the contenders. Like, who in the West would want him in terms of what he would do for them? San Antonio doesn't need him. Oklahoma City doesn't need him. Denver, that wouldn't work because they have Jamal Murray. That's not a good fit. Like, you could go down the list of contenders. The Mavericks could use somebody like him.
But Jamal Trey Young's more healthy than Jamal Murray.
Hey, can
You can swap.
Your Lakers. How about that?
Nah, we good off that. We
We're-
already got
we're-
Luka.
I mean,
Luka
come on.
battling with 50, 60-year-old LeBron who's trying to start coming back and be ball dominant. Like, bro, just go ahead and keep playing your background field.
We
Honestly,
don't-
you know what? I would like LeBron, since he brought it up, I would like LeBron to take a more Magic role. You know what I mean? How Magic was a super facilitator. Like, just go that route, man. Just stop trying to score the ball because it looks bad. Few of those times he traveling with the ball, man. Like, I don't know what LeBron do. He like that old man that used to come into the courts with the boots on, trying to play against young kids and beat them up. Like, I don't know.
I think he's still playing well. I just think that, and I'm not against your idea that you want him to play more of a Magic role, but you can't play a Magic role when you play with a guy like Luka. You can't be Magic when the other guy dominates the basketball. LeBron's problem is it's not. Yeah, he's getting older. He's not quite the player that he was, but his biggest problem, he'll never say it, is it's not easy playing with Luka. It's not like Luka is listed as a point guard, but in reality, is he a point guard? Absolutely not. He's a ball dominant small forward, but they list him as a point guard. It's not easy playing with somebody that dominates like LeBron is always the one that dominates the ball, but he keeps everybody involved. It's a very challenging thing to play with a guy like Luka who pounds the ball like that for 22 of the 24-second shot clock. Like, it's challenging. And you talked about bad defenders, Brett, trying to hide one or two. The Lakers have four bad defenders in their starting lineup. Try hiding four guys.
Hey, apparently the answer, according to DeAndre Ayton, is get him some more looks. He's the big man in the post.
Let's move on, fella, to the next one. We gonna switch to the NFL guard. I'm gonna start with you. The Falcons have fired their head coach Raheem Morris, man.
Good.
Their GM and their CEO. Do you think the Falcons should have fired Raheem?
Yes. You got knocked out 3 weeks ago in a division where the division winner went 8-9 on a team that has talent, apparently enough talent that you traded this year upcoming draft's first round pick to acquire more talent because you were just an edge rusher away. You have talent on the Atlanta Hawks. Let's not kid ourselves. There's talent to be had. You added some more defense this year in the draft. You already have the offensive pieces. This is a team that should very well easily be winning the South every year. But year after year, story of Raheem Morris's career, his team underachieved. So it was absolutely the right call.
Let me ask you this, Gardy. Do you think they underachieved because Kirk Cousins started taking over, or do you think they would have played better if Penix was still there?
Tomato. Like, say Penix has the accuracy. Cousins can barely move, but when he gets rolling, he's still very accurate. I don't think there's that much of a difference between either quarterback, so I don't think it's really that. I just think that coaching was a problem. They had predictable play calling all year. The master of the screens.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this: if Raheem Morris deserved to get fired, you can make that case. Remember, he's not in tenure. Like, this isn't his 5th year as Atlanta's head coach. This was, correct me if I'm wrong, this was year number 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they go 8-9 in year 1, unsettled at the most important position in football, quarterback. They come back and they have high hopes for Penix. But the reality is, if you watch Atlanta play, Penix doesn't look ready. It can't be the head coach's fault that your quarterback's not consistent. You know what I mean? Like I've already heard all the excuses like, well, John Harbaugh can't control the fact that Derrick Henry fumbles or Lamar is not that accurate. Like, right, the coach can only do but so much. And I would argue that in some aspects, Atlanta's talent is overrated. I think Kyle Pitts might be the fastest tight end in football, but he shows up every 4 games. So how good is he on a consistent basis? I don't think Drake London's a number 1. I think Drake London's an overpaid number 2. He's not a number 1. He can't deal with press coverage. It's not a secret. He can't. So I don't think they're as good as advertised. And for you to get rid of a guy that's a second-year head coach and you're unsettled at the most important position in football, I'm not sure that's about him. I'm not saying he's a great coach, but I think you have to give a coach, just like you would give any other coach, time to grow and implement his system. He's had 2 seasons, and he didn't pick the quarterback. They picked the quarterback, which is why the GM got fired. He didn't tell the GM to do that. The GM was stupid. He did it on his own. So I get it. He didn't have a great record, but it's weird, right? If he's a bad coach, how were they able to turn it around at the end and go on a 4-game win streak? Like, that's not about coaching. Is the line going to be, well, they won despite him? Like, I'm not saying he's a great coach, but I think they gave up on him really fast.
So rumors, Mo, is that the new president of basketball new president of football could be Matt Ryan, aka Matty Ice, for the Atlanta Falcons. Man, how you feel about that?
I mean, he could be the president of football. He still ain't gonna help the Falcons win a title, but sure.
Yeah.
No, I think Matty Ice,
man, picking talent and all that.
Look, I think Matty Ice is a smart football guy. He knows the game. Look, if he can get in there and reshape the organization, I say go for it. I'm sure, considering where they've been the last 5 years, it can't hurt. So I think that there's a reason. You have to give your fan base a reason to be excited or hopeful. I think it's a good move.
Guardy, what you think?
Yeah, I think that would be fine. Hopefully he can identify some more talent for the team. Like I said, this is a team that should very well win the South. This is a division where if you win 9 games, you're probably winning the whole thing, which has reigned true here. Todd Bowles was just flexing that I've won the South the last 3 years, as he's won like 8 games and 2 of those.
Man.
So it's one of those things where I agree with Mo in the sense that this would get the fan base like really hyped up and excited, and Matt Ryan seems to keep in touch with the game, and I think he'd be a fine evaluator of talent. So I think it'd be an interesting call. It's better than Miami letting Mike McDaniels help with the GM search.
Man, NFC South is so bad, but I want to ask you this, Guardy. What do you think of Tyler Shuck's play for the Saints for the season?
I think if Tyler Shuck was in a bigger market, he would be the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like him and Ted are definitely should be number 1 and 2. Ted had a great year, but I think that Shuck also had a fantastic year. At the end of the day, I've been telling people all year, Tyler Shuck's been a lot better than you realize. And I think especially when we're talking about the Saints, on a team that's really just depraved of offensive talent outside of Chris Olave and like 85-year-old Alvin Kamara, he performed really well. I thought he did awesome. He did a lot better than expected, especially blew me away. I thought he'd be the worst quarterback in football. I was completely wrong, and I'll admit it. And he played like arguably the best rookie quarterback in football. So give him all the credit in the world for that.
Mo, what you think about Tyler Shuck's play this year?
I think he played well enough to where he completely derailed what the Saints were going to do this offseason. Because I think they already assumed we're going to be looking for another quarterback. I don't think they're looking for another quarterback. I think they found their guy. Now it's about putting the right pieces around him. That's how well he's played. And look, you got to give credit to the coaching staff, the QB coach, the OC. But this kid's got talent. And we talked about giving fan bases hope. I don't know how Saints fans cannot have hope going forward.
Mo, since you brought up a coach who has not had time to implement his system, you know he was going to go to it. After 1 year with the Raiders, Pete Carroll has got fired, man. Do you think it was too soon?
I was concerned about that hiring, not because I didn't know if Pete Carroll could still do it or not. Remember, Pete Carroll's not a young man anymore. I think he's in his early 70s. But bringing in Pete Carroll, allowing him to bring in some of his people, in the bigger picture, it's a Raider move, right? It's a Raider move. If you know the Raiders and you know their owner, Mark Davis, who's an idiot, it's a Raider move. I think firing Pete after one season is stupid. Unless he was like erratic in the locker room or giving the front office problems, you hire a guy to coach, you got to give him at least 2 or 3 seasons to implement what he's trying to implement. We talk about
why we ain't gonna give Pete 2 or 3 seasons, man?
No, I'm not arguing that. I said that. I think that they gave up on Pete real fast. And let's be honest. Look at the Raiders team. What do they have on offense other than at the tight end position? And maybe Genty's going to be a star running back. Maybe not. We'll see. But they didn't have a lot to work with.
I'm not gonna lie to play. The Raiders played better last year than he did this year with who was it, boy? O'Connell.
O'Connell.
That's true. That's true. And maybe that's why they're not bringing Pete back. They're holding the fact that Pete brought Geno with him against him. and that's probably why he's fired.
Geno got that man fired twice.
Geno had an MVP season in Seattle, man. I mean,
and not with Pete Carroll.
Yeah, that's true. Now Pete Carroll.
What'd you think, Gardy? Was this the right move to fire Pete Carroll, man, after one season?
So, I think this one was fine. I had qualms about this hire from the beginning. Kind of like I had qualms about the Raheem Morris hire from the beginning. Raheem Morris was just him ripping off 4-win seasons as a coach in Tampa Bay with one very outlier season. So I just never thought he was a good coach. Pete, I do think part of the problem is it takes time to rebuild the culture from scratch. And I never thought he'd be around long enough to really do that. He's already 74. Like, we knew he didn't have a lot of years really left to coach. That being said, the team looked like they quit on him. There was no effort. Like, these games weren't competitive, and that's kind of the problem. You can't lose the locker room. It felt like as badly as Pete Carroll did. That Raiders team did not want to play for him anymore, and you just can't have that. So I think when you lose the locker room as bad as it seemingly happened to Pete Carroll, you kind of have to go. And not to mention, you're bringing in a new quarterback. What's the old saying? Marry the coach to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good idea to get a new coach, marry him to the quarterback, and start fresh that way.
See, that goes back to my point, though. So if Pete's married to Geno, that's why he's fired. You know what I mean?
Gardy, we got AFC North Kings on the line, man, and the Ravens lose with a field goal by Luke, 26-24, man. What's your thoughts on the game?
I think some people are idiots, and here's why, right? Everybody wants to fully blame Tyler Loop for that loss, and yes, he missed the field goal. He technically lost the game at the end. But that being said, he was like
game. My thing is, you got to think about how many games, like Justin Tuck or Adam Vinatieri, won for. Adam Vinatieri won a lot of games for Manning and Brady. You know what I mean? Or field goal. You know
I
what I mean?
mean,
So we can't blame Luke for this.
you can give him some blame, but also using him to scapegoat the fact that Derrick Henry only had 6 carries in the second half. You're using him to scapegoat the fact that the Ravens defense had a week to prepare for a Steelers offense without DK getting burnt toast by Calvin Austin, Kenneth Gainwell, and the power of friendship. Not to mention, the Ravens doubled up the Steelers in penalties. They were insanely undisciplined all night. The Ravens' offensive line spent half the game putting up a disaster class. Like, at the end of the day, can you put some of the loss on Tyler Loop? Obviously, he should have hit that field goal. But putting the full loss on Tyler Loop, like some people are doing, is absolutely absurd because it was death by 1,000 paper cuts. There were about 27 mistakes that led up to the missed field goal. And if they would have executed earlier, like not blown coverage and let Calvin Austin get a walk-in touchdown and let the Steelers score in less than a minute,
I mean, what you really expect, Gary? They're the 30th defense in the league, bro. You can't do much with that.
at the end of the day, it just felt like there was a lot of mistakes that led up to that moment that people are now willfully ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not forget that they also lost their best defensive player, Kyle Hamilton, before the game was over, which completely changed how they play defense. That impacted the game. Now
They're still the 30th defense, man.
No, I'm not arguing that, but you can't blame, like, that's not one of those things where you can go, well, I blame the coach. Like, coach can't control injuries.
True.
And while it's a team game, and you can say, well, they made some mistakes early. They were in a dogfight. By the way, they were in a dogfight for the team that had led the division all year long. And you're in a close game. I'm the other way around on this. You're a kicker. You got one damn job. One damn job. It's the only job you got. And they did what they were supposed to do. We're in field goal range. Bro, kick the field goal. We not only win the division, we're going to playoffs. And he missed. It's not all on him, but in that moment, when he has his opportunity, it is all on him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when he missed that field goal, they lose that game. All you hear in the post game is, man, I didn't like what Lamar said about John Harbaugh, what he didn't say about John Harbaugh, and John Harbaugh should be given. I think John Harbaugh deserves criticism, but if that game is an indictment on him, that's weird to me. Like, you think he can control the fumble? You think he can control where the cornerback falls for a really lazy double move? Because it wasn't a great double. It was a basic double move. And that dude stumbled to the ground. So that's John Harbaugh's style.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that, even me, I don't play DB. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never played professional football. I played in the streets with my homies in Willingboro, New Jersey. But I know better than, if the time is ticking down, I'm not biting on no 4 yard. You run 4 yards and you stop. No, I'm not biting on that. That was your DB fault. Why is he running up trying to press him on that route?
Right.
I'd have been looking for the tackle at that point. Not know, I'm trying to come get a pick to turn the game over. No, that's what he thought. He's trying to run up, get a pick, and got cooked by Calvin Austin, which was a dumb play on his part.
Facts, because you, at that point in the game, you want to keep everything in front of you, right? Correct? You want to keep everything in front. And that's another thing. You can criticize a lot of things. You certainly can criticize their strategy, the way they play defense. I know they're not ranked high defensively, but if you look at how they played the second half of the season, I think they were like more of a middle of the road defense. They had played better.
Nah, Mo, they're terrible, bro.
But
they got no pressure on Aaron Rodgers at all. None.
They don't have a great pass rush. They do, but my thing is, why do you the one quarterback that you don't let control the middle of the field or have access to the middle of the field is Aaron Rodgers. Everybody knows that. I don't understand how they don't push out and make him throw to the outside. And they didn't do that the entire game. They gave him the middle of the field. If you go back and look at the biggest pass plays that they completed, except for the double move, which again, that's not even about scheme. That's just about the dumbness of the corner. Everything they got was in the middle of the field. That's a flaw in the way the defensive coordinator
fire move was killing them.
Yeah, that you can't. But that's where Aaron Rodgers kills people like that. He's done that his entire career, and they gave him the middle of the field.
That is true. But are we not going to fault the Ravens offenses and defensive coordinator for this game versus Harbaugh?
I think you fault everybody.
Yeah, say it's kind of a mix of everybody, and I completely agree with what I see Gene over there talking about how Kyle Hamilton's injury just changed the game, and
It did.
Completely agree with that.
Him and Nate went down. The Ravens was taking a lot of injuries, but still, they were still in a position to win the game, and Luke didn't deliver. But I think a lot of that had to do with the defensive coordinator not sending more blitzes to, because as you see, when you got a pass rush on Aaron Rodgers, he's a frustrated, grumpy old man, and he can't play ball no more. He starts acting up, cussing his entire team out, and he's upset because he ain't getting protected. So I think that was a defensive coordinator problem. Send a blitz some kind of way to get him mad.
That's easier said than done. Like you pointed out, the Ravens, they're not that great defensively in the backside. You send a blitz against a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you're more than likely to get eaten alive.
I don't know, because he been frustrated with all, like, well, I mean, granted, the teams he had a go against with one elite pass rusher, he was mad because he was getting hit in the backfield. His line was protecting like Myles Garrett and so on, of the other type of players. But if you get a pass rush some kind of way on him, he's cooked. Aaron Rodgers is cooked back. Like the Texans, they're gonna kill him.
The Texans, wow.
The thing with Aaron Rodgers is you frustrate him by getting to him with 4. That's how you get him. That's why guys like Myles Garrett and pressure frustrate him. As soon as you send the blitz, he's very good at picking that apart, and he's just like, "Yep, hey, run a quick slant, just run away from the defense. I'll get it to you." So, I do agree you can frustrate Rodgers with pressure, but the key is you better be doing it with 4 and staying disciplined, because he's a sneaky good runner. Like, he's not like running like Lamar, but he's very good at finding the holes in the pass rush and escaping if needed. So, I do think at the end of the day, when it comes to the Ravens defense, everything just kind of fell apart when Kyle Hamilton went out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they just didn't know how to adjust from that.
Let me ask you this, Brett. How deep of a playoff run do you think Tomlin and Rodgers is about to make?
Hey, look, you know what? I already made the bold prediction last night that they beat the Texans next Monday. So why not go to the second round?
With that Texas defense, you think they're about to beat them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Mo, what you think, man?
I think the Texans are going to put the hurt on them. Put the hurt on them. You just talked about getting to him with 4. I'm not so sure the Texans couldn't get to him with 3. He in for a world of hurt. Now look, the Steelers defense is kind of hit or miss. But the Texans offense has played better. But if this comes down to what the defense could do versus their offense, I'm going with the Texas defense.
Say, I will
now. Gene is talking about how Lamar spotted the ball for Luke, and he still ended up missing it. That's what I was sitting there thinking about. Like, you should have just left it where it was at that point. The way he kicked it, right? Shanked it far right.
Man,
I was gonna say I do agree with Gene in this sense, right? Like, you just watched the wind take Boswell's kick wide. I definitely think you should have ran another play. I probably would have ran something like an RPO and let Lamar keep it, and then just slide down before contact, so you avoid the fumble. So I definitely think another play should have been ran. You should have learned what you just watched with Chris Boswell. It's kind of part of the reason why I definitely said coaching is kind of big to blame for this loss at the end of the day, especially in that situation. you have to learn from what you just witnessed like less than a minute ago. So unless if Harbaugh has the memory of a goldfish and forgot, like the fact is he messed up big time.
I wonder how many times John Harbaugh has spoken to the kicker this year. How many conversations you think they ever had? He probably don't even know his name. I'm only saying that because you got special teams coach. You got a lot of people supposed to be talking to this guy outside of the head coach. It's not John Harbaugh's fault that this guy looked like Scott Norwood Jr. He just missed the field goal. Now we're talking about where it was placed. Dude, you got one job. One damn job. Kick the goddamn ball. Like, come on.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
And you practice that one job over and over and over again. You don't tackle nobody. You ain't in no scrimmages. You don't do anything. You got one job.
True. It should have been an easy chip shot for him, man. And
I know one guy who talked to him. Apparently, Lamar yelled at him after he sent the kickoff out of bounds. Well, I do disagree.
I yelled at him too.
Well, no, I think that's a mistake to just sit there yelling at. You don't want him to get into his head.
Now, Gene want to ask if it was a 33-yard field goal, would he have made it? It depends. That pressure is not something every kicker is into. There are certain kickers that are just built like that. Adam Vinatieri, you had David Akers for the Eagles. You had Justin Tuck, who saved Lamar a lot out of and to get into playoff or win games. Like, dude, Tucker was kicking sick. That's probably what it was. They used to Tucker, who was kicked in 60-yarders, 50-yarders to win games for Lamar and them. You know what I mean? Every kicker ain't built. It was a rookie kicker. Yeah, the pressure was on, but it was only 40-something yards. It should have been easy work.
You brought up something. I think pressure does matter. It does, and it could get it. Not everybody's built like that. He is a rookie. There's a lot going on. It's a pressure-filled moment, and it literally is when we go to the playoffs. And we go. It's a lot. He didn't lose the game, so let's be clear on that. He didn't lose the football game. He missed an opportunity to win the game, but he's not the reason they lost that football game.
So, how much of this are you blaming on Lamar?
I actually thought Lamar played really well in the second half. Way better than he did in the first half. I thought he struggled a lot in the first half. He was really stiff, couldn't move that well. And even when he played well in the second half, what did you notice about Lamar? How many times did he run the football? He didn't. He can't. He really couldn't move. I gotta give.
They were shutting it down off the edge, and I don't think Lamar.
Well, he can't run. He's
with
not
that
healthy.
hamstring injury. He don't got the same top end speed he had to get around there.
And I've been saying that the hamstring clearly was an issue because he stayed in the pocket by design. He wasn't trying to take off.
Now, do you really think it was an injury, or do you think it was Michael Vick and him to tell him he need to be staying in the pocket throwing the ball so he can have a longevity career?
Ain't nobody listen to Mike Vick, man. You can't listen to him. He stayed in the pocket because he wasn't physically able to do what he normally could do. You can tell when if you've ever had a hamstring. I've had one. I'm sure you have. You play sports. Mm-hmm. It takes forever for those things to heal. And while you're waiting for it to heal, what you don't do is you don't push it. You don't go from jogging to a full-born sprint because you don't know. And I think that Lamar was playing cautiously. And I can understand why he did that. But when you play that way, that's a completely different Lamar Jackson. I thought he played well in stints, but you didn't get the full-on Lamar Jackson because full-on Lamar Jackson, he's a dual threat. The guy you saw last weekend basically stayed in the pocket.
Yeah. Now everybody keeps saying, "Yo, they only ran Henry 6 times or so in the second half." But did y'all not see that the Steelers started stacking the box? Like the little runs he was getting, he wasn't going a bit far, maybe 3 or 4 yards, and like at that point you got to start throwing the ball, right? Am I correct? Like if they stack in the box because they know, hey, we can't stop Henry without not stacking the box, so that leaves. We're going to let Lamar win this game. Just like how everybody played, like the Chiefs. They played us to stop Saquon was running amok on everybody last year. The Chiefs came in, we're stopping Saquon. Jalen Hurts going to win this game. You don't think the Steelers came in with that same mindset against Derrick Henry
No
in the second half?
Especially after what he did in the first half. Their strategy was simple. Lamar's going to have to beat us with his arm, because they knew he wasn't a threat with his legs. They said Lamar's got to beat us with his arm, and I thought, like, again, he had some throws where you were kind of impressed with what he did, but I think the Steelers' strategy paid off. You took away King Henry and put it all on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. And again, close football game. Could have gone either way. But at the end of the day, the Ravens, the bigger picture, what are we going to say? The Ravens underachieved because of all the talent they have on that roster. And once again, Mike Tomlin is in the playoffs. Here's the funny thing. Wasn't it just like 3 weeks ago? Wasn't it like 3 or 4 weeks ago they were like, fire Mike Tomlin? Steelers Nation was saying fire Mike Tomlin.
There's no more fire Mike Tomlin. We good now?
No, it's no more fire Mike Tomlin until after they lose in the first round. There's gonna be like fire Mike Tomlin. You know, and I know they're gonna lose in the first round. And after and as soon as they lose, or maybe like while they're losing, fire Mike Tomlin.
Let's move on a little bit here. Guardy, Sam Darnold has 2 seasons, man, with 2 different teams, man. 14 wins. It's only a select few quarterbacks that have done that. One of them is Brady. Do you think Sam Darnold can be trusted in this playoffs?
I mean, he's a Brady conversation, so he's the GOAT. Yeah, of course. The real answer to that is, I kind of trust him. The thing with Sam Darnold is the second half of the season, like in the end, he hasn't been the world beater he was in the first half. Over the last few weeks, I'd say last time I checked, it was like a 9 touchdown to 9 interception ratio. And we kind of saw what happened last year at the end of the season where he kind of unraveled. That being said, there's a big sample size of him playing really good football at this point. So I trust him, but at the same time, it's always kind of scary with him because we've seen this happen where right at the end where he'll have his worst game. But I think you can trust him. I think Sam Darnold's should be given the benefit of the doubt at this point. Leading a team to two different teams to 2 straight 14-win seasons, that's impressive.
Well, what you think?
I think they won 14. I mean, it is an impressive stat, and I'm not trying to kill Sam Darnold, but a lot of guys are built for the regular season. Not everybody's built for the postseason. How do I know that Sam Darnold basically isn't just a younger version of Kirk Cousins? His teams put up big like in his peak. Kirk won a lot of regular season games, didn't they get the postseason, and he didn't win a lot of postseason games.
Was definitely a regular season 4,000 average passing yards guy.
Right, and we're gonna find out. And remember, the team isn't built around Sam Darnold. The team is built around his defense. Sam Darnold and that offense is a complement to what they do defensively.
I don't know, man. Jigba was nasty this year till the second half, and everybody was like, you know what, we playing Jigba. You gonna do something else? Yeah,
Jigba's a talent. I'm not denying he's a talent, but their offense it's one of those things where if they can run the football, suddenly Sam Darnold's a different quarterback. When they like last week, they just ran the football down the Niners' throat, and there's nothing the Niners could do about it. And then when they came up and put 9 men in the box against the run, Jigba and Arnold took them apart. So I think Seattle has a good offense. But when they go up against one of the better teams, I'm going to question what Sam Darnold does in the postseason.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the Niners, because you all know Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan has been absolutely amazing this year for the Niners, man, going. So do you think he wanted to see what the number one, the NFC, the first team would do? So when the playoffs come, if y'all run into the Seahawks again, Robert Saleh knows what to do. He ain't want to put his cards on the table right now for this game.
Nah, I think he put all his cards on the table. He just if you've been following the Niners, they don't have a lot of cards. Like, you know, there's 52 cards in the deck. The Niners probably had like 38 left. So I think he put all his cards out there. He just didn't have a lot of good cards to play. If he was playing spades, he had no aces, no kings. So Look, I think what Robert Saleh has done, when you look at all the injuries, is
I think you
beyond
got
them.
Big Joker though. C Mac, Big Joker.
No, look, C-Mac has had a great year. He has, but I think it's come at a price because here we are going into the postseason, and he's probably as unhealthy as he's been in a long time because he just took a beating over the course of the season. It's the offense has been C-Mac or bust. They don't do a lot on the outside with the wide receivers. They rely a lot on C-Mac, Kittle. The offense is a good offense, but if you press Brock Purdy, he's gonna turn the football over. Brock's gonna turn the football over. I think that the fact that they don't have a pass rush, it's difficult to see any team. And I'm not picking on my Niners. I'm just being realistic. Any team that doesn't have a pass rush is not going to go on a deep playoff run.
Guardy. The Browns have fired their two-time NFL Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski, man. 6 seasons, 13 different quarterbacks. He with a 45-56 record, man. How you feel about the Browns firing Kevin?
They probably thought they needed a new voice in the locker room. It's one of those things where we always thought we're talking about that possibility, and at the end of the day, he's going to be the top coach on the market for sure. He's going to be up there, but I guess the Cleveland Browns thought he wasn't the right coach for them. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's kind of a difficult situation to judge, right? Like, unless he lost the locker room, which I guess is a possibility. You're talking about a guy who, he was competitive. He made the Cleveland Browns a really competitive team, but they weren't winning games, but they didn't really have the offensive talent to win games. So it's just a weird situation over in Cleveland where I'll be curious to see who they bring in as their next coach, because it feels like the talent, they're starting to finally stack up some talent. They just got to find some answers at quarterback, receiver. Like, there's questions still to be answered, but they have the talent on defense. So I'm curious to see who they bring in next. Maybe a more offensive-minded coach.
Mo, what you think?
I think whoever you bring in, though, Brett said this early in the show, marrying the coach to the quarterback. Well, this coach is going to come in and go, this ain't my quarterback. I didn't draft this dude. Like, I think the new coach brings more questions than answers to Cleveland.
Let me ask you this. Do you think they're going to want to look for a coach to pair with Shador? Because Cleveland loves Shador. The fans love him.
He does have a strong fan following, but look, I mean,
I think Shador got the locker room too, man.
He can have a strong fan following, but I don't know. If I'm a coach coming in, I don't know if I'm convinced that he's my guy. I don't know. If I'm a coach, at best, I would say that we're going to have an open competition at quarterback.
So I was going to say, when it came to Shador, that's kind of what I said about him too. It was, I don't think he played well enough to just walk into the starting spot next year. I think they got to bring in some competition for him.
I think the only coach that you can marry to him is his dad. So if Deion steps up and Cleveland hires Deion, I mean, he's good to go.
All right, man. We about to close it out, man. We're gonna close it out with playoff football coming up, man. I want to start with this game, Mo. New England and the Chargers. Do you think the Chargers are gonna be able to pull off an upset?
I don't. But I do think they'll come in well coached, well prepared. Look, we talk a lot about the injuries that the Niners have sustained on both sides of the football. I think outside of that, nobody sustained more injuries than the Chargers. And look what the fact that they're even where they are is amazing to me. I just don't think they have the horses on both sides of the football to compete with the Patriots.
I don't know. I think the Niners is right on. You and the Chargers and the Niners are on par with the same type of injuries for this season.
Agreed.
But Guardy, what you think, man? Patriots, Chargers. Can Herbert pull it off?
I'd say I would love for the Chargers to win. I would love for them to pull it off. That being said, I think this is the part of the season where the injuries become too much. Like, you're not playing the Raiders on Sunday at 1 p.m. now. It's time. You're running into New England in Foxborough in prime time. It's the playoffs. I think they did a great job getting by it, and I think they'll still keep this game competitive. But I think we're going to get to the point now where the injuries are just too much to overcome. So I think it's just New England's game.
Guardy, Jacksonville and the Bills. Can Jacksonville pull it off, man? I'm pretty sure the Bills are probably the favorite. I haven't looked yet, but I'm sure the Bills are probably favorite, even though they're 6.
Yeah, no, I'm riding with Buffalo. I think they'll be able to dominate the game with the run.
You don't think the Jaguars could take it, man? They got a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense.
Oh, I think they absolutely can take it. I don't think it's a lock. I think with Cook and Allen, they can keep the defense on the field for long stretches. Keep Trevor Lawrence a little cold on the sidelines. I think this might be the most fun game of the weekend, though. And this is going to be stupid entertaining. And if Jacksonville wins, it wouldn't shock me. But you know what they say. Nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills, so I'll take Buffalo on the road.
Mo, what you think?
He took the words right out of my mouth. I'm going with Buffalo. I'm crazy. Look, I think Buffalo finds a way, and I'm also agreeing with Brett. This might be the best game of the weekend, the most entertaining game. This might end up being a shootout. We might get 35-33. I think it's gonna be an exciting football game, but if it's gonna be a shootout, I'm gonna go with Josh Allen and James Cook.
Mo, Pittsburgh Texans.
Good season for Pittsburgh. It's over.
Guardy, what you think? Can Pittsburgh pull up an upset?
Told you my bold prediction was Steelers stun the world next weekend and upset the Texans. So I'll stick with it. Y'all can call me an idiot next Tuesday if I pop in, but
yeah, here first. The Steelers are going to the Mile High, man. The face Denver. Texans is done for the year after this game. Guardy, Green Bay and the Bears.
You know the answer to that. It's go Pack Go.
Not your fan answer. Realistically. Give me a realistic. Do you really think y'all about to take this one?
I think realistically, the Chicago Bears have led the Packers for a whopping 0 minutes all year. So they won one. It was just poor. It was poor execution, and we deserve to lose that one. That being said, the Packers have been very good against the Bears all year. They literally have not trailed the Bears all year,
right? But
except in overtime.
You're missing one key component to your team this year.
Yeah,
Micah Parsons.
Yeah, but we were beating them without Micah Parsons the second time for 4 quarters. We just couldn't finish the job. I think the Bears are a very good team. They've been all year. But that being said, I do think that Green Bay has a very good chance to go into Chicago and take it from them.
Mo, what you think?
I think the Bears can run the football, they'll win the game. It's that simple. If everything is put on Caleb Williams' shoulders, and Green Bay takes away the run game, I would go with the Packers. I'm gonna lean towards the Packers anyway, even though they're minus Micah Parsons. I think the Bears defense, they're opportunistic, but it's not a dominant defense. I think that Jordan Love and that offense can put up some points. The question is, can Caleb and company keep up?
2 more games so we can get up out of here. Mo, we're going to go with the LA Rams and the Panthers. Who you got taking it?
Ooh. You know what? I'm going with the Rams. I think the Panthers have had a really good season. They play a physical brand of football on offense. They like to run the football, but I think the Rams have too much firepower.
Guardy?
I think it's the Rams too. I think they got bulletin board material in the sense that the Panthers beat them the last time. I think they'll hang that score right up on the whiteboard. So at the end of the day, I think that the Panthers will. I feel like the Panthers will like bizarrely make this competitive for at least 3 quarters, but
Agreed.
I think the Rams just run away with it in the fourth, and I think it'll be powered by the fact that the Panthers did get them last time.
Now Adams is coming back off a hamstring injury, man. So I don't know how that go. Guardy, last game on the docket. Eagles versus the Niners. Who you got taking it?
You know what? I got the Eagles. I think it'll be a close game. It wouldn't shock me if the Eagles ran away with it with all the injuries the Niners have dealt with. But that being said, I feel like somehow, whether it's between Robert Saleh and Kevin Patolo calling plays, I think those two will keep this game closer than it should be. But I still think the Eagles will pull it out.
Mo?
I think that's what it is. I think it's a competitive game, but I think the Eagles will pull away late. I just don't see how the Niners offense would have to play the perfect football game to offset the fact that they don't have a pass rush on defense. If you can't rush like I said, if you can't rush the passer, that's a problem. But even more so if you're playing Philly, like you're just gonna sit back there and let Jalen Hurts cook and do whatever you want with no kind of pressure. I actually think this is a game where Saquon gets off. So I think Philly wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. I appreciate everybody stopping through. Damon, Gene, Jody, everybody who stopped through, we appreciate it. Guardy, do you have any closing remarks for our people?
No, I'd say that it was great talking sports with y'all this morning. Damien, best of luck. May the better team win this weekend. So
Forgot about Damien.
I'll see y'all next time. I'll see y'all on Thursday.
And as always, if you know better, you do better. Close us out, big dog.
Hey, thank you guys so much in the chat. Appreciate the energy. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.